Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Show, the vastgoed show of the Real Estate Masterclass. And as you've noticed, this is our first ever English podcast because what you don't know is that we've also been training almost in secret, actually a lot of international friends here in the Netherlands who want to learn investing in the Netherlands so that we can actually improve our reach in the Netherlands to teach everyone who wants to learn about real estate investing to make that possible for them as well. And that's why we've launched our very first show in English. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Show, the vastgoed show of the Real Estate Masterclass. And as you've noticed, this is our first ever English podcast because what you don't know is that we've also been training almost in secret, actually a lot of international friends here in the Netherlands who want to learn investing in the Netherlands so that we can actually improve our reach in the Netherlands to teach everyone who wants to learn about real estate investing to make that possible for them as well. And that's why we've launched our very first show in English. For those who don't know me, my name is Sushin. I'm the founder of the Real Estate Masterclass, the largest training organization here in the Netherlands, wherein we help ordinary people to become very successful in real estate investments here in the Netherlands. And as a special occasion, I've invited one of my past mentees, who's sitting here right next to me, Mehdi, to our very first podcast show in English on the Real Estate Masterclass channel to talk about basically real estate investments and what he's been up to in the past year and how his journey has been. But before we continue, Mehdi, could you introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do?
Hello, everyone. No pressure. It's the first time. So,
Indeed.
So from my side, thank you very much for having me here. I had the opportunity actually to do the Real Estate Masterclass, but a bit about myself. I am a scientist by background. I grew up doing science, but I grew up in a real estate family, like the owning and building real estate. My family also last few generations. But then I became also a tech entrepreneur. I have my own AI company here. We are helping deep tech companies, pharmaceutical, biotech, semiconductors with our AI. We feed them the intelligence that they need. And we are working now with more than 50 companies around the world. The biggest names that I don't want to mention here in the world of pharmaceutical and biotech. But then also we started last year with together into the one-on-one program together.
Indeed. So, so first of all, congratulations again with the expansion of your company. So I have had the pleasure to get to know Mehdi for, I think for about 1.5 years already by now since we've completed the program. And Mehdi is also a very successful tech entrepreneur. He's really keeping it modest. But what I found very interesting when the first time I met you is that you actually have a background in real estate investment because your family has been doing it for generations. Yeah. And then you still actually, came to my company to basically learn about real estate investments. So could you share about why you decided to do real estate investment? So what was your motivation to do that? Because you already have a successful company. You don't need to do that. So could you share maybe a bit more about the motivation?
So motivation is one personal, because from my dad's side, always he thinks that like, Mehdi, go and do some real business.
Which is real estate, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So he always, even though we are a very good, successful company, but still I wanted to go back to the family trade a bit, on the side. And also the other side is that if you want to do that, it has also some other alternative aspects, and that is diversification. So I'm a very high risk, high return business, which we don't have much of. Instead of our own, like our property is our intellectual property, so that is an intangible like ownership. But I wanted to have also another lower risk. But a bit more lower return, but still like as a kind of a safe place to put my savings.
Exactly, and therefore create more stable returns, right? Yes. Because, like you, I'm an entrepreneur, so I have, you basically experience ups and downs, right? And it would be great if you have continuously stable cash flow coming in.
Yes, and also, so stable cash flow, and also the thing is that as a tech entrepreneur, I don't really do much with my savings, because I don't have expensive hobbies. I don't have...
do you have hobbies?
work company,
So,
real estate investment,
because
real estate investment.
Exactly. No, yeah, because as a, what I notice is also from a lot of our international friends, they often have very busy jobs or, they have our own company, especially at the pace you're growing at. It's amazing. But, I could imagine that time-wise, you might not have also, therefore time for other stuff.
Yes,
So
indeed.
that's why.
And I want to essentially use the time that I have at hand to learn new skills, especially here, because I recently became a Dutch citizen.
Oh, congratulations!
Yes, thank you. But still, there is a barrier of entry, right? So not only in terms of capital amount, but also in terms of the knowledge.
Yeah.
Because every country is different.
Exactly.
And that is why essentially, we started actually looking for how we can learn this trade.
Yeah. And how long? So maybe just create a context for our listeners, right, and our viewers. So you became a Dutch citizen. So that means you've been here at least 5 years, right? And you're living here in Amsterdam or area?
I used to live in Amsterdam. Yeah. Now I'm in Hoorn. For the viewers, I think the Dutch viewers know where Hoorn is.
It's somewhere in the north, half an hour drive from Amsterdam, let's say.
Yes. Historically significant city in Netherlands.
Exactly. So that's interesting, right? So first of all, there's a lot of listeners who live in Amsterdam, think Amsterdam is the world, but you've expanded your horizon, let's say.
Come there, it's beautiful.
We're coming there for the barbecue. And you live right now in Hoorn. And I find it interesting. So maybe it's a simple question to ask, which is, if you have been living here such a long time, why didn't you figure out everything by yourself? Why did you want to do a training program then?
That's a good question because, sometimes is like, this might be personal answer, but if you are always in your active mode at work, trying to push boundaries, sometimes it's kind of when you want to do, like, for example, some other things on the side, you don't have that willpower to essentially get yourself together, go and study things that are in Dutch and figure out the legislation, figure out the do's and don'ts, right? Where to buy, where not to buy, and how to, like, for example, the things are also changing. You want to have someone who takes your hand and takes you along and tells you, for example, which road to go, kind of the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Resistance, and then this way you can actually go forward. So that was my personal reasons. I never got myself together. I had it always in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And then at some point we realized that the opportunity cost is so high that it's worth the actually getting someone to teach you.
Yeah. So you, because you started a program with 2 partners, right? Actually, Mauri and Puya.
Yes.
I'm not going to say, of course, how much you guys have, but, financially seen, it was not difficult for you to buy it. It was, quite doable. So then if you look at, what you said about, where you kind of want to know the road of least resistance in combination of, money, you could have just paid a lot of expensive advisors as well. So what was the choice then to choose for a training program compared to, advisors?
I think also makes later in our conversation we go to actually another reason what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
But we have a longer view over this.
Yeah.
So we not only we wanted to essentially do this, but we also wanted to get the network.
Yeah.
So to get to know other investors, or like what we call it, amateur investors.
Yeah.
Or other people, like, for example, people who are into deal finding, people who are in, for example, renovation.
Exactly.
For example, we got to know Arif, a very good deal finder, that we could just actually work afterwards.
Yeah.
So those are the things that you, if you're an outsider, even if you are not an outsider, even if you are kind of like have been living here, they are not in my network. Like I have a different type of people that I interact every day with. So that was another reason.
That makes sense indeed, yeah. And just to clarify to our listeners and viewers, deal finding here in the Netherlands basically means basically people who find real estate objects outside multi-listing services or funda, basically. So they basically provide deals outside funda, basically. Yeah.
And also even like unfunda, because if you want, like we are with my girlfriend now buying our own, looking for another place to go.
Yeah.
And it's taking a lot of time from her to actually go figure out like favorite things on funda, like, you know, and seeing if it's went off and like if they lowered the price or they increased the price. So it takes a lot of time, and having like someone that is their job, their passion to actually go and find very good opportunities.
Yeah.
That is worth something.
Okay, good to hear. What did you learn actually when you started in real estate investments? If you compare maybe expectations to reality, what was like, oh my God, I never knew that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And maybe just to clarify, so Mehdi, Amari, and Puya started a one-on-one program. So that's a training program where basically people teach you one-on-one to become successful in real estate investments here in the Netherlands. And how that works is that we start off with a weekend course completely in English, where you learn everything from A to Z how real estate investments work. The policies, developments, how demographics works. You have a point system, if you remember that one.
That tricky one.
A tricky one indeed. And then we have how to find deals, get the HOA documents in order, financing. I think I also showed you, and I think a lot of people in that weekend were perplexed that you could actually get financing even though you were jobless.
Yeah.
So what most I think our Dutch course participants know is that I could get unlimited mortgages even though I'm jobless, and that was, I think, a world shocker for a lot of people in the
still
course.
a bit hard for people that have like their own company, because we have extra risks.
Yeah, because it's risky. But no, indeed. So you learn basically a lot about a lot of different financing worlds actually when you start in real estate investments, and furthermore about rental laws, renting, property management. You learned all that in one weekend.
Especially, for example, I'm not unfamiliar with the investment world, but it's different type of investment. It's not about the vision. It's about knowing your numbers, even haven't done your homework, and knowing the property. And it's much smaller amounts that you need to raise per property. And that is essentially, and also how to structure a deal with a person if you want to do other people, like gets from like OPMs, other people money.
Indeed. How so basically one of the course modules is we really want people to learn how to use other people's money for real estate investments, and we really drill people into that in those weekends.
The funny thing is that my dad used to do this all the time.
Okay, did you pay attention?
And then I came here and I was talking to my sane Dutch friends and network.
Okay.
And they said those are the things that is, you're from Iran, like these kind of shady deals, or under the, these are the things that does not happen here. Here is everything is law and order. You go to the bank, they check your credit, or they check the financing if you go through the checklist. But then when we came there and we realized, okay, actually there is an informal way to get things going, even if you don't have the money to do the down payment or the cost of taxes and such. That was quite eye-opening for me.
And why was that so eye-opening for you then?
Because I thought that my dad could do that there, because I thought that people here do not do those. They don't lend their money so you can buy invest in real estate.
Okay, got it.
Right? I remember my dad got so many properties. I remember, I don't know if I can say these things, but anyways, I will. He will not listen, or I will send it over.
Oh, you send it to him, yeah.
So I remember that he would be he had to go to the notary the day after, and he was missing $1 million the day before, right? So he had to hit all the numbers, all the people that he knew, and give very good deals, or like, you know, to put things together, because he could see a very good opportunity. We call it occasion.
Occasion means opportunity?
Yes,
okay.
like it's something that is really kind of, occasional.
Okay, yeah.
But that was learning that these kind of things are possible here. It was one of the more eye-opening things.
Good to hear. Yeah, so I always find it interesting to talk to internationals wherein they have a certain image of how the Dutch people are or how the Dutch system is, because they call it quite rigid, right? Everything is like pretty much detailed out. And then, you know, as you get to know more detailed how things work, how the world works, you learn that there's actually a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
So
people are people anywhere they are.
Exactly. Indeed.
They have two things: fears and greed.
Exactly. Not everybody. It's a personal philosophy. That's your thing, Mehdi. Okay. So so you know, after a weekend you learn everything, and in 3 months you bought your first deal. What did you experience in practice that was like, you know, what are the top three things that you remember saying like, oh my God, I never knew that. If I would have effed it up maybe if I continue it without learning this stuff.
So one, pointing system.
Yeah, the point system. Yeah,
yeah,
indeed.
Point system.
So to clarify what a point system is, a point system is actually if you buy a house here in the Netherlands and you want to rent it out, you need to hit a certain amount of points. And the points basically reflect the quality of the house that is expressed in the kitchen, in the length of the kitchen cabinets. So all the detailed houses that is related to the square meters and the decorations of the house and the renovations, that is how the total point is being calculated, which allows you to charge a certain level of rent, basically. Yeah.
That is exactly one of the things and how it might change.
Yeah, indeed.
And having an eye, developing an eye, if you kind of like you see a property or like if it's possible to increase the points in a way that you can rent it in the free market.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that you might have very easily overlooked. The other thing was that the FFAs, or like, you know, what do you call it?
Homeowner associations.
Yeah, homeowner associations and the financials, like looking into those. It's important because like you can see if there is some expensive repairs or renovations are coming in the building, or there is kind of outstanding debts or some things. That is, these are the things that you don't think of. Like you think that I'm buying this property, I see it, it is what it is. Let's go and sell it, purchase it. This is the second thing that it was very interesting for me, how to look into those. And the third thing that was interesting for me to learn is how to judge a property, not only based on the looks of the property, but the location. So if this is like what type of rental more or less there can be. Is it gonna be students gonna be, because that would change some of your decisions, like how you renovate it, which type of property you're gonna buy, or is it kind of seasonal workers, or is it like family, and or if this is a place that is increasing in the population historically or the last few years, or is it decreasing? Because that also shows how much the price appreciation throughout the years would be.
Yeah, indeed. So you kind of want to invest in areas that are not shrinking in terms of population, right? And therefore choosing growth areas in combination with houses that are being built by X%. So if the population grows, for instance, by 20% per year, and the houses grows only by 1%, you basically have a 19% gap, which is, of course, an indicator that long-term wise, it's a very good investment.
Yes. And the fourth thing, actually, I come to think of it, is not to look at an apartment or property as if you want to buy it for yourself or live it there.
Yeah. Good one.
because that is important to know, to look at it from the eye of the renter, like the tenant. Because you might say, this doesn't have the light the right direction, or if the entrance is not a good entrance. Especially for investment, you need to really put the kind of rational hat, and then afterwards make a decision based on the numbers, based on the facts. Of course, it's important how presentable the thing is, but you can essentially a lot of those things fix it up with a little money afterwards. But yeah, so opportunities, if it was like normally, if you want to find a place, a property that is going to give you a good return, you need to find it that is in a state that others would not, want to have the headache to purchase that property. That is kind of your profit margin.
Yeah.
Because you do things, you're willing to go through or you have the people to fix things that others do not, are not willing to do.
Yeah, indeed. So what I do notice indeed with a lot of people that we typically start off in such a weekend, they have this utopian view of how beautiful an apartment should be. But
Airbnb pictures,
sauna, Italian leather couches, beautiful white, and a tiger print maybe on the floor. And then we do the business case, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
So
off-market deals are off-market for a reason.
But they are very, very good to purchase indeed as well. So therefore, you notice that it's very interesting then to say, to see basically that a lot of starting investors come up with this utopian view, but we kind of crush some of their thoughts on the weekend to make it very simple on how investing should work. And from that, you can make some subjective decisions, right? If you want the walls not to be white, but black or purple or pink, or have 10 different colors in the form of a rainbow, that's all fine. But we do train people indeed in an objective position or objective perspective so that you learn from that indeed.
Yeah. You are not going to live there.
No, indeed. I assume not at least, yeah. Okay, so what's also interesting, so because it has been a year, what has happened since then? Because you learned a lot about, how real estate investment works in the Netherlands. You bought properties. What has happened since then? What did you do with everything that you learned?
So we purchased our properties, and one reality that we faced is this takes a lot of time, even though you have all that knowledge. Mm-hmm. You need to still look for properties, go and visit them, do the homework, then afterwards do all the legal things, get the mortgage. All of those things takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And that is where it was a realization that maybe that is from a personal problem that I see it, is that it's not easy still. You get ahead, but still you need to put the work. Mm-hmm. And that has been an eye-opening aspect of the work. Mm-hmm. And we have been working on another alternative way to actually even reduce this together, right? Reduce this barrier of entry even more. And because as a person that is with traditional way of financing, as an entrepreneur, it's still harder than others that they are employees to get financed.
Yeah.
Right? Because the funny thing is, I can sign a small piece of paper and all of my employees can get their mortgages for even living there and such. But I am under much higher scrutiny when banks want to give me loans. So it's very hard to get mortgage for a lot of things. You need to have quite a good amount of substantial capital for the first mortgage. For the first property, you need to have good savings. And also it's time consuming. And that is where we are essentially spending our time on the side. We are developing we are developing a way that people can purchase properties even if they have a couple of €1,000. So they can share a property together and they can have the benefits of the cash flow from the rent, the price appreciation, and also they don't need to learn as much anymore because we take care of that part of it. So essentially you can think of it as a real estate fund with a very good structure that you can purchase a few meters or 1 meter in a property. You get all the benefits of it. We take care of renting it, renovating it, and like all of the management and such. And also the best thing is we add liquidity to it.
And what do you mean you add liquidity to it?
So,
and also, what is it?
So it's a concept, we call it land into.
Yeah.
So it's a new concept that is a fractional ownership of properties.
So like timeshares?
Yes and no, because we are... so you can essentially come together, like think of it as a crowdfunding. As a crowd, you buy this property. You're all financial beneficiaries of the property.
Yeah.
As if it's on yours. So you can have a much lower barrier entry. You can just spend, if you save, I don't know, €1,000 a month, you can put €500 of a month there to kind of diversify. You have the rent benefits, and we take care of renovating it and putting it on the market to be rented out. And then if you need money, if you need to do some things, you are not locked in. If you want to buy a new car, you don't need to sell it under the price or like you need to find another purchase. You just sell it back to the other owners. So it becomes much more liquid. And we have been going through the AFM regulation. So which is, I don't know the Dutch abbreviated name for.
Autoriteit Financiële Markten. So basically the Dutch SEC is basically reviewing their fund structure as we speak. Yeah.
Yes. And there is actually where I think that opens up a lot of doors.
Okay, and why is that the case then?
Because you don't need to have tens of €1,000s to start. You don't need the co-financing. And you don't need to spend the time on looking and properties. You just go online, you see the options, you put there. We do the KYC, know your customer, approval, like checking all the documents like we just with your driving license or a passport. And then you just transfer the money and you become the financial owner of a share in that property.
Okay. So you're adding liquidity then by basically allowing the owners of those shares to trade with each other.
Yes.
Via a fund structure. So basically I can sell my share to our viewers or listener. But then the question I have in mind, and I think most of our viewers and listeners, is like, okay, but what return do I make if you take everything out of your hands?
That is very good, because now, in the Netherlands, with the change of the regulations with the tax, transfer tax and such, the returns have been shrinking. But now you can actually buy properties overseas.
Okay.
Now we are focusing for the launching part in the US type of housing that we have found. I'm not going to disclose it here.
Okay.
But you can have 15% return. What I mean, you get 15% of the property price as a rent a year.
Yeah, so basically if I would put in, because you say you can start with a few K, just to put in investor terms, if I put in, let's say 10,000,
Yeah.
I can get 15% return from that property then actually.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, a year, which is essentially 1,500 euros.
Yes.
And then also you are having the benefits of the appreciation. And also you have the benefit that you can sell it anytime that you need the money and you're not going to be locked in. How would you buy a property here in the US as an individual? It's almost impossible and is not accessible to normal people.
No.
You need to be highly, even rich people cannot do it. High net worth individuals cannot even reach that level. You can invest in a fund, maybe a real estate fund that holds a lot of properties and you're one piece, but you cannot invest in, and they make the decisions where to put the money and charge you a lot of costs and commissions and management fees. But here you can choose, okay, these properties, I want to put my money in this property.
I got that. And then so basically you've learned how to fractionalize a house and therefore resell or sell the shares to other shareholders. And basically for every 10K or 1K, I can get 15% return a year.
Yes.
That's the offer then.
Yes. And this is going to be, and this has been, we are going through a lot of legal processes to make it very safe for individuals to do that and to risk it as much as possible for the individuals.
Yeah, so that's a very good, I think, question to what I was about to ask as well. It's like, how does this project that you do right now land into connect then actually with, you coming to the Netherlands, you have capital, but then you have to learn how the game works here, right?
Yeah.
How is that then connected to each other? How did you end up then in the US? And is there even a connection, or is this just a new side project?
It's so when you start, when you come and learn this way of how to invest in real estate, then you realize, okay, you are calculating returns. So you have a sheet that you put the numbers, plug the numbers in, and you get your returns. And then you start actually thinking, okay, if it's not Netherlands, because I'm an expat here, a Dutch expat. So my mind is not limited to like a certain country. I have lived in 5 countries until now. And for me, it's impossible now. I used to live in Spain to buy properties in Spain because I have to go through the Spanish law, all of those things. So we realize, okay, how can we open this up for everyone? So if you live in, let's say, in Europe, how can you invest in US? Because the US housing market is much bigger, much more liquid. And also I have the benefits that my parents live there. Okay, so I went there a few months ago and I realized, okay, there is a lot of opportunities. And also one of our partners in this, RF, is quite active in sourcing deals, finding houses in the US.
Got it. Okay. So basically what you've learned actually from this program is therefore to remove, that it actually takes a lot of time to learn a new game, let's say, the real estate game. Yeah. Second, that each country has its own laws, regulations, financial aspects, which took you a lot of time to learn as well. And third is that you've actually created a way that all those barriers are then removed from ordinary people who want to get into real estate game, but might not have the full capital or the time to do that then.
Yes,
got
exactly. Very good. That is why you are the coach in Real Estate Masterclass, because you can summarize it in very clear words.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, by the way, it has been quite a journey with working with one of the best coaches here in the Netherlands or maybe the best.
Oh, thank you.
In real estate investments. And when I mentioned now, going back to a comment that I had earlier in the conversation, that we had a longer view when we joined, was to get the network, get ourselves into the network, so we can be here in these conversations, have access, and like we can work together to build these funds and remove the issue for a lot of things. Funny story. Last week, Monday, we were in what do you call it? Like an event.
Yeah.
AI first event. That there were a lot of expats, more than 400 expats in an event on Monday evening. And among others, we presented this idea. And we asked, actually Puya asked, like he started it very funny. He said, how many of you, now let's go from AI and such to real money. How many of you really thought about investing in real estate? And I think 90% of the crowd raised their hands. And we had a deal there for the participants there. And we're going to have it for this, also for the viewers and listeners of this podcast, that for the 10 people that will sign up for investing for more than 5,000 euros in Land Into in our fund, we will co-invest and give them another 1,000 euros over their amount that they invest.
So if I put in 5,000 euros now, you will give me another 1,000 euros, which actually gives me immediate return of 20% on top. That's what you're guaranteeing right now.
Exactly. So we invest in behalf of you, and for you, another 1,000 euros on top.
From your own pocket?
For our own pocket.
That's 20%.
That's 20% for 10 people.
Okay, got it.
That they're going to do, and there is a waiting list for it. The link...
yeah, we can add it to the video, or if you know the URL, you can also mention it.
Yes, and no, I don't know the URL. We can add also in the YouTube, also the QR code.
Yeah.
And also the link in the podcast. So find it below somewhere and be fast.
I got it.
Because there is quite an interest on this.
Good to hear. Okay, so we'll add up the sign-up link, which basically gives you guaranteed 20% in addition.
Yes. So you sign up, we'll contact you, and you will invest 5,000, and we will put 1,000 euros on top.
I got it. Okay, so I'll make sure that the team will put down the sign-up link below or in the Spotify podcast. We cannot add a QR code in this podcast, by the way, just in case. So in case you're listening to this.
Or maybe on the thumbnail of the podcast.
I will check with the marketing team, okay? But otherwise, just go to the YouTube channel. You'll find the latest podcast here, and you can sign up for it. And the company is called Land Into, correct?
Yes.
Got it.
Landinto.com.
Got it. So thank you for being here today. I really appreciate the conversation and that you made time available to have the conversation with our viewers and listeners about your journey, and that you've actually used, everything that you learned to create a new solution that can help more people. And what I really like about that is the fact that, my company, Real Estate Masterclass, was created to make real estate investments as accessible as possible. That's why, and as you've learned from our courses, we've really, tried to make it as accessible as possible that anybody who wants to learn can learn. So, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. There are some links below as well, where if you want to have a free call just to discuss your situation, see what's possible, that's also possible. And of course, don't forget to sign up for your company Land Into, where you basically get immediate 20% return on your money if you get on the waiting list.
And your first investment in the US.
And my first investment in the US. I really hear that I'm getting 1,000 euros for free here. Okay. So Mehdi, thank you very much for coming here. Looking forward to talking to you soon. Hopefully we'll see you soon somewhere in the future, and your very successful company called Land Into.
Yes. Yeah? Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. So thank you, listeners and viewers, for viewing this podcast, our very first one in English. I'm looking forward to receiving also your feedback. So don't forget to leave the comments below for any questions that you might have. And don't forget to subscribe yourself to our channel, and looking forward to hearing from you soon. And thank you for your attention, and see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.